Welcome to the DJNTV Chill Room Chat, your space to unwind and talk shop. This episode is sponsored by MadeByDJs.com, innovative tools designed specifically by DJs for DJs. DJEventPlanner.com, the industry standard for streamlining your business and booking faster. And DJRequests.com, the easiest way to manage your dance floor's vibe in real time. Support the show by using our Amazon affiliate link at djntv.com/Amazon. Now, let's get into the mix.
Cameraman. Hey, welcome to our show tonight. It is a Monday night, and that means, well, for a long time it didn't mean much. I mean, it meant I was probably headed to bed. Cubbie was probably doing Wordle or something. It was great. Maybe not. But we're back again, and we're going to be kind of kicking off our summer session or season. And what that means for this year is that pretty much like every other week, I think, is what we're going to be on a schedule for. A couple of times we might be back to back, but our goal is to basically be bringing some shows to you throughout the summer of 2026. Tonight, Dan is off doing great things. So Cubbie and I are going to tackle tonight's topic. Cubbie, are you ready?
Yes, I sure am.
And tonight's topic is actually kind of something that I'm kind of struggling with or thinking about a little bit. And then Aaron Strawn, if you guys haven't followed Aaron, go look him up on YouTube. Aaron Strawn from Rochester. He does a lot of videos, a lot of great content out there. But one of the things he did recently was he had one of his little he has this holding up a sign and changes the things, and he mentioned that the 3-hour dance. And this is something I think Cubbie and you and I've talked about over the years, numerous times. The idea of for our weddings, that even high schools, 3-hour dance at a high school, 2.5 hour is like prime for high school. 3-hour dance though is really kind of a sweet spot when it comes to our weddings. And Aaron actually made, and I talked to him a little bit about this, and Aaron made the jump. I think he said 2 or 3 years ago. With going, he will only do a 3-hour dance. There's no 4th hour. There's there's the cocktail package in the dance, or there's the ceremony cocktail package in the dance, 3-hour dance. So what we're going to do tonight is we're going to talk about basically some of the objections that Cubbie and I, when we've thought this through, or we've talked to our clients and such, and we're going to hit some of the objections, and then we're going to go through a list of reasons for the 3-hour dance, which a lot of you are like, oh man, I can come up with a lot of reasons. I can get to bed early. That's not one of them. Just to give you a little teaser. That's not one of them. Mitch, thank you for being with us. And I bet Mitch has been in this as long as we have. So he's probably thinking a 3-hour dance. Good enough for everyone. Day being with us. Thank you very much for joining us tonight. So Cubbie, let's start off with the potential objections we're going to get. If we all of a sudden tomorrow we're only selling a 3-hour dance package with whatever comes before it, whether we both of us have done the ceremony, what are some of the common objections or things let's take them one by one. What are one of them that jumps out at you?
Oh, that's not long enough. My friends, we're family. My whole family's big dancers. My whole friends are dancers. We can dance all night long. Mm-hmm. And I get that sometimes.
So let's just dig into that one. That one. So one of the things that when Aaron talked about that is, and I've even talked about this with many of my couples, is that I think back in the 90s, that was, that the dances, at least for us, were kind of, they would be a slow start. You do your spotlight dances, and then you might have a couple of kids on the floor, or maybe whatever, and then you slowly build up, and then dance started at 8, and by 9 o'clock, then your dance floor is kind of hopping. And I think before we started, you were kind of alluding to that a little bit, but I haven't been seeing that as much. And probably a lot of that is, getting on a microphone and telling them to get their lazy butts out on the floor. And if they don't, I go around with a cattle prod. But I mean, excluding that dance floor, people seem to have been responding better, I would say today, to those early dance floor songs. And I don't know if it's because of the music we're playing, or the expectation that they're here to dance and they want to dance it before they leave, because people do leave early. Yep. I don't know what. So they say that, oh, well, my friends are going to party all night long, and many times I think they're visualizing not that 90s experience, but when the reality hits, they're their family and such are up and dancing right away, they don't do as well. Are you seeing where people are engaging earlier in the night, or is it still, from your experience, that they're kind of an hour in?
I try to stack my cards to have a very successful beginning with I kick the night off with a slow song.
Mm-hmm.
So I pack the dance floor, come on out, and John and Lori want everybody join. And married or not, come on out and join us. We have a nice slow song. And then prior to the slow song that the bride and groom chose, because I allow them to choose it, I'll hit big butts. And I go, I like big butts, and I can't. And people to start laughing. I'm like, okay, that was a vibe check. I want to see how we're gonna do tonight. Looks like we're gonna have a great time. Now here's the song they chose, and I slide right into the slow song, and then I come out of that slow song with a very popular song. It's like a classic, a timeless classic, like a September or a Footloose, or I'll kind of read the crowd and talk to a couple. But a timeless classic is what I'll come out with right after I kind of crack that stupid shtick joke or whatever. But it seems people just start busting out laughing when I do it. So I try to stack my cards by starting with a packed dance floor, because I explain to my couple I might lose 3 or 4 couples, but a majority of them will stay out there because nobody wants to be the only one on the dance floor.
So if you would go back to your early days of performing when you were just getting into the DJ world, would you say then you were hitting, there's those big hits, the A songs that are going to work every time, and then there's the B, the C type of, as you're going, your for sures. Do you use more for sures in that first hour today than you did 10, 15, 20 years ago?
Yeah. Because there's still a lot more for sure's out there that I can put in my pocket. Meaning, I think over the last, since I've been DJing, probably the Twist was my first one I came out with. Right. I'm kidding because I'm so old.
Yeah.
But there's more in my pocket to come out with later. So it's easier to start with some nice A's in the beginning and to let them know that we are there to party. Mm-hmm. And not be so. We were also coming from doing wedding party dances. And when you got 5 or 10 people on the dance floor from the wedding party, and that's all you have, then try to build a dance floor off that is a little tougher. So that's why I'm glad wedding party dances, at least where I'm from here in the Midwest, have kind of trended out, and we can just do an all couples dance. So I can stack that. So I can stack that dance floor.
And I think that's the part that when couples are like, we're going to party and we're going to dance all night long, I think sometimes they don't expect that we're going to hit hard and hit early and often and create that atmosphere that is something that wasn't there when their parents were, when we were doing their parents' wedding. Yeah, there was that. Okay. So, I just had it. I was going to write it down and I thought, oh no, I will remember. I will remember it. I'm sorry. I completely forgot the one I wanted to bring up there for the argument against. It'll come to me. Do you have another one that would be?
I have what I call the Catholic gap. Here in the Midwest, if you get married at a church and it's a Catholic wedding, they have to be married at 2:00 in the afternoon. So you get everybody out there for the first mass. So I've got guests arriving at 4:00 sometimes, because it's an hour ceremony. So that's 3 by the time we gather church, 3:30, drive over 30 minutes, possibly, whatever. So I'm generally looking at first guests at 4:00 in the afternoon. And it's hard with that what I call the Catholic gap. I can explain to your brides and grooms that, hey, look, you can send them off to a bar, not have them show up till 5, so it doesn't seem that they're sitting there for so long, because nobody wants to be anywhere for 8 hours. Heck, you want to be at your job for 8 hours, let alone a wedding, because you left your house at 1:00 to get to the church by 2. So I have what I call the Catholic gap, and those are real hard to manage with timelines because nobody dances. I can explain to my couple, nobody dances at 6:00 at night. So, we have to really massage those timelines to where they really work in our favor. More of a garden party with some bags and things outside, and not be afraid of having your guests outside and then bringing them inside for dinner, type thing. But the Catholic gap gives me a couple times here in Iowa, Midwest, in the Midwest.
And that would definitely be one of those situations where it would be looking at the success of the 3-hour dance and such, and that's not one of the 10, I don't believe, but because of that 8-hour, you mentioned the 8-hour thing, and we've talked about this in other shows, is that's a real thing. When people hit that 8-hour, and I'm adding to that is basically for every 5 degrees, so if it's 70 degrees, you get 8 hours. If it's 80 degrees, you're looking at 7 hours max. And if it's 90 degrees, you're lucky if you're going to have them for, 4 or 5 hours max, because people will, the temp and the humidity will just shorten that time frame. And a 4-hour at 90 degrees and humid outside is going to seem like 8 hours. So 8 hours is definitely less. I remembered one of the arguments that, because I've had this where I've, like, hey, we can end the party at, because our packages right now, we have one of our packages that ends at 10 o'clock at night. And the common thing is that, but we're going to have a bunch of friends that we're inviting just for the dance, and they're going to get there like about 9 o'clock. The dance would basically start, at 7 o'clock and go till 10, but the friends are going to come in at 9 o'clock. You've had that.
Yeah.
And what's been your experience when people have said that that's what was going to happen?
They don't show up. Because they weren't invited to the whole thing, right? You're like your B team. Like, I would never leave my house at 8 o'clock to go to a wedding at 9 o'clock because I was not invited for the entire thing. I just never would do it. I don't care if there's free beer or not. I just wouldn't do it. So I find that a lot of the times, half those guests that they're expecting or think it's going to be there later just never show up.
That's exactly it. Or the two that do show up are the two guys who are going to go sit at the end of the bar and drink as much of the free alcohol as they can, and then when they're done, they'll start getting rowdy and causing fights. Yes. Literally has happened numerous times. Another one that I've had is the venue is open till midnight, and they say all their dances go till midnight, and the only time they shut down earlier is when they've had bad DJs spinning it around and making it look like we must not be competent performers. But and I've had this one thrown at me when the dance was to start at 6, and they were literally talking about a 6-hour dance. The venue said we can go till midnight. That's what all their dances go to.
Nothing good happens past 11. Is generally what I say. I said, on top of every hour is going to be your gauge. Right after dinner, you're going to lose 20% of your guests for whatever reason. Maybe like my Aunt Mabel, she doesn't drink, she doesn't dance. She's out the door and the loud music starts. Then about 8 or 9 o'clock, you're going to lose people with small kids. They got to get home to bed. Whatever, 10 o'clock, a little bit of distance to drive. Maybe they're like 30, 40 minutes away. Here, like I said, we are in the Midwest, so we have a lot of small towns that people come from and don't want to buy a hotel. And I say your friends are gone, or here till the beer is gone.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I like to, share that with them. And that I said, I don't want your wedding to end with just 3 people on the dance floor singing "Don't Stop Believing," right? Not cool. I don't want your memory to be like, it should start with big beginnings and big endings, big circles of love. So I said, if your time's 10:30, your time's 10:30, it's totally fine, right? It's just the way your day is going to play out.
Yeah, exactly. And that's sometimes it's just tough though. The expectations are just,
you got to set them at the planning meeting.
You really do. You try to set those at the planning, but then there's some of the expectations that evolve between, they've gone to, since you booked them, they've probably gone to 4 or 5 weddings of their friends since that moment. And for some of their friends, they're like, oh my gosh, the party was over by 9:30. I don't want that at my wedding. I want to be able to go, we're going to party till, the cows come home. Oh yeah, you might be able to, but...
Yeah, well, that's why I start talking to them. Well, your family big dancers, are your friends big? Do you have those fun aunts that will be out there? Never expect a lot of gentlemen to be out there, especially in the Midwest. It's you're wearing those boots and beer, drinking Busch Light and stuff. Don't dance a whole lot. They don't come off the bar. But I was like, do you have the fun aunts? Do you have a bridal party that will be out there with you? Because wherever you are at is where the party's at. And if it's a beautiful June night, and everybody's outside, guess what they'll be? I don't care if you're the best DJ in the world, they're all going to be out there with you because that's where they want to be with you today. They're there for your day.
And so you're being with them, I think, or that statement of being with them is so critical for the success of that early dance floor. And, we've talked about this in the past also, is that dance, if the bride is out there and the groom is out there and the wedding party is out there for that first open floor song and they look like they're having fun, it's a night and day difference. In how
everybody buys into it. You can get everybody to buy into it.
And that's one of the conversations we have during the consultations is that I need you for 4 songs. Basically, you need to be out there for the first 4 songs, the spotlight, and then give me 4. If you need to go do some pictures, wait until after the 4th song. You don't have to be on the dance floor. You could maybe step off and grab a drink and then come back right away. But I need you close and having fun, engaging with the dance floor. And the results of that discussion are so valuable and have changed, and again, maybe it's more playing more of the big bangers in that first hour. Maybe it's setting things up better in the consultations, or maybe we just changed and where people will know that, okay, we're gonna have a good time. We're here to have a good time. We're gonna have that good time, and then we're gonna be home by 9:30 because we've got church in the morning, whatever. So there are many objections that we've had, and many of these are that paralysis, that why a person doesn't make that jump. Now, the big reason why, in my particular case, why I'm looking at doing this across the company is I've been doing these 6, 7, 8 hour, and many of you are on the East or West Coast, and you may not do 9 or 10 hour events. Cubbie and I, unfortunately, that's our life in the Midwest. That
Yes.
we will, as he gave the timeline, is that we'll get there, and we've got cocktail from 5 to 6, dinner at 6, the dance starts at 8, and we go till midnight. And there's times where that will be pushed earlier because of longer cocktail time, whatever. So we get these long, extravagant things that just take up our lives. And for myself, while I've put up with it for 35 years, whatever, I've got my sons who are very good at what they do, but they're like, yeah, this is taking up way too much of our time. If we're going to kill the whole weekend, then we got to be either getting paid a lot more or I'm going to go do something else. And right now, my boys are like, yeah, we're going to go do something else. Even though they had a really great wedding this past weekend and had a good time. They're making that personal decision that it's costing too much of their personal time that they could be spending with family. So I'm applauding that side of it, that they're making this decision. But now, as the person who's booking shows and has the business side of it, I need to figure a way to make changes. And Aaron's 3-hour dance thing, I think, as I've talked to the guys, they're very receptive for that. So that's why we're looking at it tonight. Cubbie, we're going to spend another 20 minutes or so, half hour, whatever it is. But I want to give us time to get through the arguments for it. And we've already hit a little bit on some of those, and we'll be bringing some of those things back into the discussion. And for those of you who are listening to our podcast of this, again, thank you for joining us. Tonight's show, one of our big sponsors is DJ Event Planner. If you haven't checked out their system, go to djeventplanner.com. They've been a huge sponsor of the Disc Jockey News from the beginning, and they are one of the most reputable companies in the DJ industry for taking care of your business online with the tools and things. So check them out. Okay, so the first one that was on my little list that I made here is, and Mike Walters talked about this. Numerous DJs have talked about this. Basically, a 3-hour dance allows you to be basically high energy from beginning to end, without having to really drop that energy flow down. When you're doing a shorter dance, do you feel a difference between knowing you have a shorter dance than when you have to stretch things out for 4 or 5 hours?
Man, yeah. I don't play any slow songs generally, and if I want to slow it down, I'm gonna slow it down by doing a sing along anthem. Here in the Midwest, courtesy of the Red, White, Blue by Tuba Keith, unwritten. So it brings the BPMs down a little bit, and we'll just take right back off, and also give me a time to turn genres or go a different route than what I was doing. But I find myself not doing hardly any slow dances during these events because, hey, not a lot of people slow dance anymore. Mm-hmm. Are you finding that out? Is everybody in the group chat?
There's just not as many couples.
Yeah.
And it's because there were the parents in this particular wedding that I did Saturday. Both parents were there, it's both sides, and they were still married. There was no divorces but there's one grandparent, and then there's the aunt who's divorced, and then there's the 2 uncles that never got married over here. I was really surprised as I played a slow song about a half hour because someone had asked for it, and there was one couple that danced. There were many people in the room, but there was only one couple that danced because the parents had stepped over to do something, whatever. But there would have only been maybe 5 couples max at that time. A lot of strays in the crowd. So, yeah. Slow dances, the boys, I think they play the spotlight dances, and they do one at the end, and that's it. Rest of it.
Other than that, yeah. 15 years ago,
different story.
And if it was a really slow night, you'd play 2 slow songs because everybody would slow dance.
Yeah.
And if it was if you're really trying to kill some time, you'll play 2 slow songs
back
in a row.
To back. Oh yeah, that's how we taught DJs back in the early 2000s. Is that you do pick 2 unless it was a really long one. If you had a 4.5 minute slow song, you probably only go 1. But
Aerosmith can't miss a thing.
Yeah, when it came out, that became a anchor of that. But that high energy, I think, is something that being able to have that the whole time, which of course feeds back into the, oh, we're going to party all night long and we're going to be able to, but I think there's a difference, because if I know that we're going to go for 4 hours, I'm not going to put, if I have 30 songs that are killer songs on their request list, and I have to take those 30 songs and stretch them over a 4-hour dance or a 5-hour dance, that's going to have a completely different feel than if I mix those 30 songs together within a 3-hour time frame, for sure. So because of those times when we have to stretch, the second one is basically talking about fillers. And that kind of leads into that. And how often, when you get into that last half hour and you've been doing a 4.5 hour dance, you get that point where you're like, oh, God, what am I going to play? I've got 15 minutes left, and I played many of my good. I know I got a good anchor at the very end, the anchor I want to hit, but it's like I'm looking for something that doesn't suck.
Right. I don't know. I'm like a Dave Landers. I'll dust something off and try it just for fun. Like some I haven't played in a while, some that worked, and I think it'll work with it. Yeah, I'll play some. I don't want to say obscure, but like you said, like a B popular song that was 5 years ago or something. Or I'll do a what I call the middle school mix, right? Like maybe a little T Swizzle or some Justin Bieber, some Britney, some like takes them back to middle school, like oh shit, or whatever. I might do like an emo set, Bright Side, and because pop alternative rock right now is kind of trending, so I nice little 3-song set of that, some type things. I try to do songs in like 3-song sets and then do a crossover to another genre.
And many of those that you mentioned, if you were doing that 3-hour dance, you'd implement them into that 3-hour dance, but maybe song in that 3 set, maybe song 1 was a good song and 2 was a bridge song because it wasn't the greatest, but it was okay. And in the third song is the hot one.
Yeah.
And if you could go 1 and 3, the response would be way, way different. But putting 2 in there, it's still good, but it's not as good as 1 and 3.
Right.
And that's, I think there's where those fillers, that I can step away from the fillers and just give them steak all night long. Another area is the shorter dances. Usually then your dance floor is full, especially in the early part of the evening. I've got a full dance floor, and I get past that 3-hour time frame. The number of times already this year, it's like, we should have wrapped up at the 3-hour point because we had a nice dance floor, and now all of a sudden my pictures at the last hour is looking like we had a crappy dance. So the pictures and videos from the end of it aren't going to be a good representation. Aren't going to be things that I want the couples to remember.
Yeah. I'm always a big beginning, big end guy, as I shared earlier this evening, in trying to do something. And I'll talk to the time of, what time do you want to end? We have an unlimited package, which has unlimited hours. So the time is not any additional hours or anything like that. So, right. She'll set the time, and a lot of times it's at 11. And if I see it starting to die down, and so we talk about big endings, right? Like, I don't want 3 people on a drunk dance floor singing "Don't Stop Believing." We want a big ending. We are going to go memorable off with it. And so then if I notice it's starting to slow down, like at 10, 15, I don't even ask her if she wants to quit. I'll just ask her, do you think we're going to make it till 11? Because that will help me with my music programming, right?
Yep.
And then she'll look around and she makes the decision going, yeah, no, I don't think we're going to. Why don't we just cut off at 10:30? I'm like, okay. Is there anything you want to hear prior to that, that I've missed that, you want till we get to our last song of the night? And, if she has a suggestion, I'll go play it. Right.
Yep.
Or a genre. But I generally don't have to make the decision. I let her make the decision by asking, so you think we're going to make it to 11? And it's not like I want one Murph out or anything. It's just happens.
Yeah. And the idea that you've got a specific way you want to end on that high note. And that's actually the next one, is that the importance of leaving on a high note instead of a fizzle. And
you send me these notes, John.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have jumped.
Yeah, no, you're fine. You're fine. And I think that you're setting things up with basically now you're getting her to commit to where, okay, so now I'm going to figure out where my end is. Now I can work backwards and make the bridge to get to that end, because that end, as you say, you want a big beginning and a big end. And those two things bookmark a great event. But many a times those are the 2 things people will remember.
But that's why I'm so big on big endings, like you said, and big intros. But
yeah, so that ending on a high note is probably one of them that I would like to see more often, because it's well, we're supposed to go till 11 o'clock and it's 11:45 and everyone's tired. And now the venue just turned the lights up a little bit. Now they're starting to clear tables in the back of the place. And then you can just see all of a sudden all the, the bridesmaids and aunts and such are doing that. And now the uncles are breaking tables down. It's like, well, wait, I got 15 minutes. We got our big end song she wanted to dance to. And, if we
two things that still in the consultation, I'll talk about ants or trying to get a head start on picking up the things. I said, anytime you start picking up centerpieces, is going to clue people to leave.
It really does. Yeah.
And I said, so, don't let people start doing that. And then, like I said, just holy cow, it's hard. That's all I can say. There was something else I told him, like, you guys space it off, but it was, don't let people start cleaning off.
Yeah.
But also but that's still, again, just coaching in a consultation. And when you're talking about that ending.
And there's things that are even in that realm, that the venue, the couple, we can talk to the couple and engage the family with that. And they were like, yeah. And then all of a sudden the venue does something, which 2 weeks ago, that's what happened, is the venue wasn't selling enough drinks. So they were like, that's it. Pew! Lights go on and they start clearing the tables. It's like, oh, okay.
Wow.
So let's jump to the next one. Basically, for those times where there's guests who are only going to be there for a shorter period of time, that they don't want to stay for we're not going to stay for the whole dance, but we want to be there for a period of time. I think the 3-hour dance really fits into that, because it can be that exciting thing that basically keeps them hooked.
Mm-hmm.
And I think if they're hooked, entertained, engaged, that helps tremendously.
And that engagement, like I said, and getting people to buy into what you're doing throughout the evening it starts with the grand intro and making the proper announcements. Maybe starts with the ceremony with a fun, unique, turn off your cell phone idea.
Mm-hmm.
Just being able that you're helping the guests and they see you out there, and you're making proper announcements and you're engaging, and how you dismiss tables and things. If you are a table dismisser, my company we are. Some people don't, dismiss. That's not up for debate. We just do it. But it's all the way you engage in the crowd as you're dismissing tables. You team John, you team Lori. What's going to be your favorite song tonight? How far did you drive? While you're waiting, or something. Just engaging, and they'll buy into whatever you want them to do.
Oh, for sure. Making those connections is so much. It keeps the older over 40 crowd around, is because now you made a personal connection, and they aren't going to ignore you as much as possible, or as much as they might if you are just that noisy voice in the back of the room. It definitely helps. So for some places, having a 3-hour dance would definitely, because some venues are by the hour. So if it is a 3-hour dance, maybe the DJ is going to be has a less expensive package, and the venue. And if you're buying drinks for the night, if you're only buying it during the dance, that might save some money. So there could be some financial benefits to keeping a dance a little bit shorter. And then that kind of leads into the other one, because I don't know if we talked about it tonight or not, but the times that when you mentioned earlier that me and my friends are going to party till midnight.
Oh yeah,
and that becomes one of the big arguments. But have you ever had it where they're going to have an after party? So you finish the dance, and the ones that wanted a party, we're going to go out and we're going to go bar hop or something.
Yeah, that's what I tell them, especially if they're closer to town, outside. If it's a small town barn, and then it might be harder. But I'm like, yeah, they don't. People want new scenery. They've been here for 6-7 hours. They want to go somewhere else and drink. They'll drink with you all night long.
Mm-hmm.
But that way, A, you're not paying for it, and B, they want a new set of scenery, right? They want to go back out.
And that's we've never used that description when you and I talked about a new scenery, but that's actually how I've described because we've offered the idea that we could have the after party. So we wrap it up where Grandma and Grandpa are still here, then Grandma and Grandpa go home, and then we do another hour of a party thing with all those songs that were too risque for Grandma to be around, type of a thing. But then it became after we did that a couple of times, it's like the people would probably like a change of scenery. And I've had that discussion. It's like, don't think the 10 o'clock's the end of your night. It's the end of the family party. Now you and your friends are going to go out and do a local bar that you guys really like, and have that change.
You wearing that dress means you get free drinks all night long, girl.
Exactly.
So just go get it.
Yeah, you're not going to have to pay for any of that kind of stuff. Yeah, it definitely is a great little incentive for them to do that, because there have been times where I've had weddings where we've had a party bus, and they were going to take the party bus and go bar hopping after the party, and the bride and groom are like, "Oh, we're done. You guys take the bus and go. We're going back to our hotel room." And it wasn't because of wanting to get frisky. It was they were done.
And that's the other thing. In the consultation, I'll share with the bride. I'm like, you know what? You're going to get up at 6. First of all, you're not going to get any sleep all week long. He'll sleep like a baby. Then the night before, it's going to be really rough. You got to get up at 6 or 7 o'clock in the morning for hair and makeup. It is a full day, and it's a full day of emotions. Emotions when you do your first look with your dad, and a different set of emotions when you do your first look with your new husband. You're going to be up and down emotionally. You're going to cry, and that drains you a little bit as well.
Very much so.
So you're by 10, 11 o'clock. I said, what generally time do you generally go to bed? Well, about 9 o'clock. Well, trust me, just because it's your wedding night, you're going to be you're going to be a little bit more energized, but maybe consider only going until 10 o'clock, which would be the 3 o'clock sweet window that we talk about for the dancing, versus 11. So it just was, again, and they were like, oh, when they say you're right, you've been right, man, yeah, we're right. We're just beat. We're ready to go.
Yeah. And that's, as you say, that because of the whole week, not just the night before, that they are usually running on fumes. That's a huge thing that most people don't think about.
And the stress that it takes out of you. Wondering, is everything ordered? Are we going to miss anything? Is everybody going to show up?
Yeah.
Things that's just stressful, and you don't realize it's stressful. I mean, and that takes a little bit out of you each and every time. Very much so.
So an interesting thing, there's a study basically that some people have been referring to, and we kind of correlated to dance floor fatigue, but it's basically the idea that if I'm in an environment where there is a loud music or loud noise, that if I could be in that environment working for 4 hours, and now I add the element of loud noise or loud music, that it shrinks down, and I have this sound fatigue that goes on, and now I can probably work for about 2 hours, and I would feel like I've put on a 4-hour shift. And the idea behind the dance floor fatigue that I think people don't realize is that when they go out to a bar, they probably go into the bar, have a couple of drinks, and then they go to the next bar. They aren't in that same atmosphere for 4 straight hours or whatever it is. And that study that we were looking at and talking about said somewhere 2 hours is generally when many people are done with hearing that loud music and having that, which in this case we'd call it dance floor fatigue, but it's audio fatigue is what it's referred to. An hour, 3 hours, or 2 hours, 3 hours, and that's for many guests, that's it. That's their window.
I just think too many brides think if their night ends at 10 o'clock, it was a failure. Like it wasn't a rager.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I think that's why they just are all at least here in the Midwest, hang their hats on that 11 o'clock, because they don't want it not to be a rager, but they don't realize short, sweet, fast, get them out by 10 and then go bar hopping at 11. Because, that type of thing, but it's hard to get them to understand that.
Yeah. And I think that's, ultimately the direction is to have the more successful shorter events that are the ragers. And there isn't the trickle off at the very end, which is unfortunately a big part seen. How about event flow? Is there going to be a room if you've got the same things, activities, wedding activities? Would a 3 or 4 hour matter when it came to the flow of the wedding activities?
No, I maybe would. I don't know. I would consult them on, whether if they wanted to do any games. I know, like, I haven't done a bouquet garter toss in years. We don't. The anniversary dance is kind of trending out, so there's really not too many fillers. After I start dancing, there's nothing to do anymore. Like, what I'm saying, we used to stop at one time for something, like anniversary dance or bouquet garter or something. But I don't. It's usually, like you said, straight from dinner. After that, you're just going.
And I think that was one of the things, because our dollar dances would take sometimes 20 half an hour, 45 minutes. And then the garter would take, 3 or 4 minutes. And then the bouquet would take 3 or 4 minutes. So you at times were maybe losing nearly an hour of the day with that. Which, at that time, once we could program songs for the dollar dance, at least it gave you, a 10-minute a 10-minute break at the start of the dollar dance type of a thing. But the events since you don't have to have those things that stop everything on the dance floor and send everyone back to their seats. I think the flow from song to song, one dancing group to the next dancing group just goes a lot better. So there's a lot of great DJs out there that do short mixing or quick mixing and different things. If you're doing a 4-hour dance, what are the chances of you being able to utilize that skill at the level that you would want to be able to do some of that? Because even yourself, there's times where you've got points that you're jumping out of a song and then do a new song.
There are times I got a couple short edits. I'm like, do I short edit this one or do I play the whole song?
Yep.
Do I short edit this one? For me, it's a constant battle. But goodness gracious, like you said, I've seen some amazing DJs out there like 4 songs in 1 minute. I'm like, shit, why? I gotta go till 11 o'clock. I got 3 more hours to go. I wouldn't want to do 4 songs in 1 minute. Stop it. Because we just have so long to go here in the Midwest.
Exactly.
So,
and that was, we had a couple of weddings last year where they were the shorter dances. One of them I think was about a 2.5-hour dance, and in that particular one, Michael was with me that night. I was emceeing and he was DJing, and he was doing these. That was a great mix, and he was into a song. It was a verse chorus out to the next one. It's like, wow, that was great, and it was fabulous because I was learning or picking up some ideas of song mix together that I hadn't thought of. So then the next weekend we went out and we had like a 4.5-hour dance. And it's like, hey, yeah, you remember that set you did last weekend? You should do that. He goes, yeah, no, I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
What? He goes, we have 4.5 hours to play. Yeah, I'm not cutting that song short. It's a good song, and they will dance to most of it.
It was 3/4. Like I said, I got some short edits, like you said, in first chorus hour or whatever, but then I have some others, So yeah, sometimes at night I'm like, oh, do we short edit this one or just let it play? Let it go through. Yeah.
Yeah, Mitch is in our chat room and mentioning the ending on a high note, and I think that is that. If anything is a selling point, I think for a shorter dance, is that to end on that high note where the family's together and you've got mom and dad and maybe even grandma still on the dance floor. Because I do have a couple of families where the grandparents are still there at the end of the night, and I say I have them because I'm doing multiple weddings for them again this year. It's a larger family with that, but they're there and they can have that closing time where they're all together and they can do that. And then if you do an encore song, whatever, but the memories that they can, wow, grandma was with us when we shot when we wrapped up, and that was so cool that, the big crescendo and, oh yeah, you don't get that when it fizzles at the very end.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. Yeah, and then there were some things about financial side of it that some venues will if you're going to go past midnight will charge you a surcharge. There's one venue that we were at last year. Theirs was 11 o'clock, which more of them are 11:30 is the latest we can go now, which used to be 12:31. But if you want to go beyond that, there's a huge surcharge, and the guests or the couples are like, okay, yeah, we're not. We're literally one of them. She's like, we cannot go past 11 o'clock. I want the last song to end at 11:50 or 10:59 because I do not want any music being played at 11, so I have to pay extra.
See, that's where you're gonna pass the buck. You're like, can you go to 11:30? Have you checked with the venue yet? Because I can't go.
I can't.
So then it's not in your hands. You're like,
that makes it so much easier.
I would love to, but it's the venue, not me. I'm sorry.
Scuba is coming to us. Thank you for being with us tonight. He's coming to us from the East Coast, which of course,
nice.
a little bit different layout in their events and how they do it. But boy, Cubbie, he mentioned 2.5 hours is more than enough dance time. Boy, think of how a 2.5-hour dance, we get through all the spotlights and then go 2.5 hours from that point. Oh, it would be banger after banger after banger after banger.
Yeah.
It would be those big hits, and we could, do some quick edits on a couple of them where you're getting just a good part of the song. Oh, the total response and results would be, it would still have a good time, even with a longer dance, but it would be.
That's why I love this show. We get to talk to people from the East Coast, the West Coast. We get to find out all the different things that they get to do because, I've been doing the same market for over 20 years. And it's just fun to learn what other people in other parts of the world and how they do their stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's just interesting.
Yeah. And yeah, DJ Dan, I believe it is, mentions that that with all of us front loading our events, which is a great way to describe, us coming in there with the hitting it hard and hitting it early. And it's finding can be very trying to stretch that into a 3.5 to 4 hour dance. And literally Saturday, I found myself into that. I had just a few guests left, but I had the parents, and they were 80s kids of the 80s. They were pretty much just a hair older than me, and so we could get into that spot. But I was playing songs that I knew they would know and they would sing along with, and but their kids may or may not have known. A couple of them they obviously did, but there's maybe they know Jesse's Girl, but maybe they haven't heard Summer of '69, or maybe they know Footloose, but no, they don't know Walking on Sunshine. I don't know. I didn't just get throwing names out there. So you're looking for those fillers because I just got to stretch that last half hour. Crazy stuff. So this is actually something that this upcoming week I've got, especially with the crappy weather we're supposed to have here, raining and hot and humid. I'm going to be reworking a lot of my information, because if I want my boys to DJ, I've got to change some things up and have them. Yes, I do. Oh, that's Dan there. I can't even see. I can't even see the whole thing there.
Dan, our host, Dan?
Dan, yeah, he came in later. So
yeah,
I do put in sports pretty much. That's what I do. That's dinner. That's then beside is dance.
Huey Lewis.
Yeah,
yes.
yeah. I put sports on. This is the negative thing when I'm looking at. If it wouldn't have been for the Huey, I wouldn't have caught it. That because I can only see parts of it on Zoom's or not Zoom's restreams. It doesn't show me all the information anymore. So
I've been talking about Newfound Glory.
Yeah, we haven't even touched on all these important things. I didn't even tell you that this past weekend we had the ceremony, so we were using Megaseg to perform and play. But that's going to be a conversation I'll bring up with Dan next week. I think in 2 weeks or so, when we can all get together again, when all three of us, we should go into officiating and talking about that again, because I've done I think 4, but I think I've had requests for 3 or 4 of my weddings this summer, which I've not had that before.
I've got one this Friday, and I've been picking up a lot of them now.
Yeah, it seems that's kind of coming on. So let's put that one in for our next time together, because I think even Dan has done. Dan's putting up a picture of a beer. Dan has been doing some of that too, so we can dig into that in a couple of weeks.
You guys can't see it, but there is a book prior to that. If you guys want to go get it and read it before our show in 2 weeks, it's called The Best Ceremony Ever.
Hold it closer to your body,
Chris,
in front of you. If you hold it closer to you and then up. There it is, right there. Now we can see it.
Yeah, by Christopher Shelley. It's a really, really good book.
Nice.
Called Best Ceremony Ever. Christopher Shelley and goes over to unique weddings. It's just a good one. I use it a lot.
Mm-hmm. And as far as our using that with tips, it was what best wedding.
And it's like best.ceremony.ever. By Christopher Shelley. I saw him at Wedding MBA a couple of years ago.
I need to put book in there, I bet, to get. And who was it again?
Christopher Shelley.
Ironically, I can see all of there it is. Peter Mary's books are in here also.
He's trending again. I already put him back out. It would have a second version or something.
Yeah, he was going to be getting doing another version and updating it. So
good for him. I love that. That was a hit back in the day.
Yeah, that was definitely one of the. There we go. I'm gonna get that. I'll grab the link for you guys and put that into the chat here if I can find. There it is. I found it, and I'll put that in the chat so you guys can grab that book if you want. And yeah, in about 2 weeks, I think that should be our time frame to be able to come back and have Dan. And next week, Dan, if it works out, you and I will go next week, and we're gonna just talk about Cubbie the whole time. It'll be great. Oh,
that'd be a 3-hour show.
4 hour, because we want to be a rager. Very good. There we go. All right. Well, wonderful. Thank you guys for being with us tonight. We had a nice
Good to be
crowd.
back.
Nice crowd. And yeah, we're going to try to be with you more this summer now that I am back to being a regular DJ this year than I have been the last few years. So when the guys can make it, we will be on Monday nights and taking it from there. So you guys have yourself a wonderful evening. The DJNTV.com/chill. They are going to be in the chill room talking tonight. And of course on Tuesday nights, they are there also. So just go out to that, and it's a Zoom meeting, and you can go and hang out and talk shop and learn a few things. There's a lot of information that gets kind of bounced around in those rooms, and I kind of eavesdrop every once in a while, and a lot of social time, but there's always nuggets that there are. So Cubbie, thanks for being with me tonight, and we'll catch you guys later. Bye-bye.